Well, a few weeks ago, I was privileged as our Janesville United Church delegate to attend the Pacific Mountain Regional Council General Meeting that was being held up in Prince George. A gathering that included congregations from all over BC, from Whitehorse and from Banff. There was a particular air of excitement this year as this was the first in-person general meeting in 3 years. It was a gathering that immersed itself on every level in the weekend's theme, rooted and grounded in love. From the worship which opened each day to the Vespers which rounded off each day, to the inspirational sessions by our keynote speaker, Jeff Chu, to the children's and youth programs that ran throughout the weekend, to the various table discussions, and yes, even to the business and voting sessions. Rooted and grounded in love was in evidence everywhere. So here are a few highlights. Jeff Chu offered 4 marvelous addresses, touching into the themes of hopes, dreams, and aspirations, challenging us to explore what the church needs to repent of, encouraging us to reflect on who we want to be in the world, and exploring how to cultivate hope and be a blessing in the face of all that is so terrible and divisive in the world. Jeff is a writer, a reporter, an editor, a teacher, a preacher, and an ordinand in the Reformed Church in America. He is at once utterly authentic and marvelously funny, immensely personable and deeply spiritual. A particular poignant moment came when Jeff shared how difficult and painful it continues to be for him to be denied ordination in his denomination because of his sexual orientation. He even broke with his own script at one point to ask us to keep him and his partner Tristan in our prayers. Well, how moving it was that right then and there, Reverend Ingrid Brown, who was in the chair at that moment, immediately rose and asked Jeff if he would like us to pray for him right then. Well, the entire room spontaneously rose to their feet and extended their hearts and hands to him in a blessing as Ingrid offered such a soulful prayer, so rooted and grounded in love. We were greatly honored to have Reverend Michael Blair, our United Church's General Secretary, in our midst. For those of you who were able to join the worship service streamed from Prince George that Sunday, you will have had a glimpse of what a gifted and insightful and soulful and warm human being he is, as he offered such an inspiring reflection. Similarly, we were so honored to have Jim Angus, the Indigenous elder from Kispiox, speaking to us. It was so moving and heartbreaking to hear some of his story as a residential school survivor. Making his message that much more searing for me was seeing each day the homeless, virtually all Indigenous people in such dire straits, sheltering and hanging out in the plaza that just surrounded the Civic Center where we were meeting. So in light of all that Jim has lived through and all the continuing intergenerational fallout, it is utterly amazing to me that he continues to be so committed to being a significant and influential part of the United Church. What a gracious man, so rooted and grounded in love. 2 other highlights. We had an opportunity to welcome Deborah Richards from Northwood United Church in Surrey as the new president of the PMRC, with Blair Odney, the outgoing president, chairing the weekend with such grace and skill. And also welcoming Reverend Carmen Lansdowne as the nominee for the next moderator of the United Church. Carmen is a member of the Lheidli First Nation and presently is the executive director of Vancouver's First United Church. And if she's elected in July, she would be the first Indigenous woman to become our moderator. For all you Broadview readers, you might remember she was interviewed in the February 2022 edition of the magazine. Here's a beautiful anecdote. Her lovely daughter, Esperanza, maybe 7 years old, serendipitously wove her way throughout the gathering from time to time, and at one point she shyly and seemingly randomly presented Karen with a special little piece of her own artwork. It wasn't until later that we realized who her mum was, the possible future moderator of the United Church. Honor abounded, so rooted and grounded in love. Well, great cause for celebration was becoming an affirming regional council. The work began in 2021 when the general meeting voted yes to this motion. And that was the first step in a journey of education and action, culminating this year in being confirmed as an affirming region. Karen described it so well in her recent Sunday reflection, what this affirming movement is all about. She says, the affirming movement in the United Church is where faith communities undertake the work of unlearning and relearning what it means to cultivate an environment where people of all sexualities and gender expressions, all races and abilities, all ages and social status are honored as incarnations of the holy, such that whoever you are, you may trust that within an affirming community, your flourishing as God's beloved matters. You can check out the link on the PMRC webpage to get more information about what that entails. Well, we celebrated that with a street party on our final evening, an abundance of food and live music to which all of Prince George was invited. I found it bittersweet to see so many of the unhoused joining us around the barbecue. Well, in addition to all of this, it was such a gift to connect with clergy and lay people from other congregations, offering such an opportunity to engage in fellowship and witness really such diversity from congregation to congregation, each congregation set in such different places with different issues. And of course, it was yet again so impressive to see the quality of our PMRC executive, so competent, so multi-gifted and spirit-led. And to hear of and see firsthand the amazing resources available to us from beyond our own faith community. What a gift it is to be part of something so much bigger and so much diverse than ourselves. And of course, all so rooted and grounded in love. So blessings to each one of you.